Hello, everyone. I hope you can see me. Maybe you can put in the chat if you can. This is a live stream for Biblingo to celebrate Biblingo having 5,000 YouTube subscribers. So thank you to all of our YouTube people out there for joining us, and thank you to all of our subscribers for getting us to 5,000. So I'll just wait a couple minutes. And then you guys can ask questions whenever you want. That's the idea here. But we are also going to I'll be making an announcement in a second about some exciting things at Biblingo. So all right, so Colton says we are here. That's great. So let me see if I can share my screen here in a second. Okay. So, let me just go back to me. All right. So, let me go ahead and say a couple things just to announce as we kick this live stream off. So first of all, we are running. We just did a sale to launch Biblingo 2.0 and Black Friday / Cyber Monday, and we're going to run another sale now for Christmas and also to celebrate our merch store launching. So we are launching our merch store. I know this is a request that we've gotten for a while. I was going to share my screen really quick so you guys can see. Let me see if I can put it up here. It's right there. So this is what it will look like. It's being worked on right now. Hopefully by the end of this call, you should be able to log in and actually purchase stuff. So we've got shirts, Greek, both Greek and Hebrew, mugs, journals, yo-yo, and we'll also have a like stress ball kind of thing on here as well. We got some fun shirts, all of the Sermon on the Mount in Greek on a shirt, all of Psalm 119, at the Shema in Hebrew, Psalm 119:99, which says, "I become smarter than all my teachers." My kids really like that one. Do you really understand what you are reading? This is from Acts 8, and then a disciple of the word Greek t-shirt. So some of these are in stock now, and some of them are still being made and won't be ready until after Christmas. Like basically, you could get them around first of the year. So you'll need to check back here to see which ones we have in stock right away. Some of them we do, and you can order those if you want. The mugs and stuff we do have, but it's just some of the t-shirt designs are like I said, still in production. So that is the big first announcement. Is the merch store is going to be live. If it's not live right now, it is going to be live very, very soon, and you can get a really cool t-shirt like this one, as you can see. It is actually a fantastic shirt, and I'm not just saying that because it has Biblingo on the logo. If it doesn't matter what it would have on it, it is just a really nice shirt. So that's a plus if you're into that kind of thing. And yeah, so basically when we launch, which will be today, everything will be 15% off. So all the merch will be 15% off, and then of course all of the Christmas sale will include subscriptions and that kind of thing for 15% off as well. Okay, so those are the big announcements. So Donald has a question: is there a way to get original languages keyboard virtually on Windows 11 screen. So I don't know exactly what you're asking. Like, can you put the keyboard itself on the screen? I think so. Um, like, I think you can, um, like, put it on the screen. You can type out the keys if that's what you're asking. But I personally don't do that because it's kind of a slow way to type. Um, like, what I would do is, once you put it on your actual computer, you can switch between languages, and then just learn the keys. That's going to be definitely the fastest way. But you can, in theory, get keyboards and put them on the screen. But I'm honestly not exactly sure how to do that. So that's but if you ask Colton, Colton will probably help you. Anyone have any other Greek and Hebrew related questions that I would be better at answering? Um, Feel free to put them in the chat, and I will um, answer them as I'm able. If no one has anything, I can show you this. Well, I'll let you guys stew for a minute, and then if not, I can show you what I've been working on recently. So if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat, and I will take a shot at answering it. If you're just joining us, the big thing that we announced was the merch store. We're selling Biblingo merch now, and we are offering 15% off for our Christmas sale. So it'll run from December 13th through the 27th. 15% off of all the merch, as well as subscriptions, all Biblingo plans, and live courses as well. The other thing that I forgot to actually add is that we're also doing a 12 days of Christmas thing. So every day from today until the 24th, Christmas Eve, we will be giving away something for free. And it'll require you to do something to enter the contest, and then we will choose randomly from those people and give away something for free. So it might be a subscription, something from the merch store. Every day the prices will increase in value, and you'll have plenty of chances to win. So watch out for that. And I'm not even sure exactly what today's prize or way to enter it is, but you will soon get an email about it from someone on the team who does know. So watch out for that coming soon. Okay. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. If not, like I said, I can show you what I'm doing these days. Tim, hold on. Okay, sorry. Good question. So, God's name, how's it pronounced? So if you look at, okay, so Yehovah is not right. Okay. If you look at the actual vowels, it looks like that. But the vowels are really a stand-in for how it should be read. And they don't represent the actual way it was originally supposed to be, or the way it was originally said. So I'll give you an example of this. So if you look, for example, at the first occurrences in Genesis. Hold on. It's gonna, like, normally. Let me see. Let me just share my screen really quick, and I will show you, so you don't have to believe me. You can just believe the data. Okay. So this is, let me put myself back up. Okay. This is just a search for Adonai, or so I said Adonai Elohim. This is, you can see the vowels here. Shva plus kamatz. Those are the vowels that you would expect for Adonai. So in Adonai, the word Adonai. Okay. In Adonai, you have a hataf patach and then a kamatz. So that is telling you that in this case, with God's name, you should say Adonai Elohim. Okay. So that's just. Let me see if I can make this bigger here so that people can see it easier. Okay. So Adonai Elohim. That's how you're supposed to say it. So if you just vocalize this in the way that it would ordinarily be vocalized, you might say Yehovah, right? And that's where Jehovah comes from. Like, that's why some people say Jehovah. But we know that that isn't right, because it isn't. This word is not always vocalized in that way. God's name, right? And we know that because if you search for this, you can see here Adonai. So it would be odd to say Adonai, Adonai, right? And so in these kinds of cases, what they did is they have different vowels. You can see different vowels for God's name, Yod He Vav He. In this case, these are the same vowels as Elohim. So this is supposed to be read as Adonai Elohim. And so basically what that tells us is that these vowels are not representing um, how this word was originally supposed to be pronounced. These vowels are just reflecting what's in the reading tradition of the Masoretes from way later, Middle Ages. And they, because by that point they weren't saying God's name, they were substituting it in for different words, and the word that you're supposed to substitute for is indicated by the vowels. So this would be Adonai Elohim, Adonai Elohim, and this would be Adonai Elohe Adoni. So that's how you would read it. So that just tells you that God's name was never pronounced as Yehovah. We would have to reconstruct. We have to reconstruct these vowels. There's a number of difficulties with that, but basically, the best, I think, scholarly position, you have to assume that this vav, if it's there, is consonantal. And there's several factors that go into it, but I think Yahweh is a decent guess. But at this point, that's what we have. We also do have things like hallelujah, right? Let me see if I can find hallelujah. here. So here, we can see God's name right at the end of this. So that suggests to us that it probably started with Yah, right? So if we then go to other instances, Yah, right? If we assume this is Yah, this syllable, and then we assume that the Vav is consonantal, which it has to be, and that the Hey on the end is normally not pronounced, and it normally has a segol, for example, like this. Well, so this is in construct, like this. Sa de. That's where you get Yahweh. Okay. So that's how, basically some of the reasoning why people say Yahweh. And as Colton points out in the chat, yes, the Yahwistic names are also good evidence of that. So Yesha Yahu Yah again is who. Oh. So yeah, so like Yeshayahu is Isaiah, and the Yah in there again, it suggests that the first vowel is Yah. Okay, Donald has a question. I have a question, and my example will come from John 14:1. When they speak of being translated, why would they have to translate if they all understood Greek? Good question. So let me just like pull up the actual text. This is what I'm doing right now. It's a little bit boring. I'm going through every single example of the subjunctive in the New Testament. I'm on example number like 900 something. So I will make that go away. But I'm figuring out what the subjunctive means slowly but surely. John 1, 41, just so we can see what Donald has, what Donald's talking about. Horiske hutos proton ton edelphon ton idion simona kai lege auto horekamen ton messian hoestin metermeneuomen Christos. Okay. So horekamen ton messian. So messian. Thanks, Colton, and I'll reiterate that as well. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. It's questions about anything related to Bible, linguistics, language learning, Biblingo, anything you want. So Heurekamen ton messian. So this is obviously a transliterated word from Hebrew into Greek, ton messian. This is and it is then said that this should be understood or translated as Christos. So the question from Donald is, why would they speak of being translated? Why would they have to translate if they all understood Greek? So the question is actually not whether they all understood Greek, but whether they all understood Hebrew. So when you have these phrases, they are Hebrew transliterated or Greek, or Aramaic, transliterated phrases that are being translated into Greek. So messian, right, would be a Hebrew word that is which has a meaning that is being explained in Greek. So this, really gets into how many people during this time were speaking Hebrew and Aramaic, how many people understood those languages versus Greek. So I think it is pretty clear that so obviously we have instances of Jesus speaking Aramaic in certain contexts. I personally think that he probably spoke Hebrew as well. And I think we can see, hints of that in various places. But I also think he spoke Greek. And so because this is just how societies were back then, they were multilingual. And in fact, many societies today still are. It's just that America is not. So yeah, for someone, so like John is writing this in Greek. And so the assumption is that if he's writing in Greek, at least some of his audience is not going to know Hebrew. And because he is assuming that some will not, he is translating Hebrew words, or it's giving a specific, you know, meaning to that Hebrew word. So, I mean, I think another question to this would be, why use the Hebrew word to begin with? My opinion would be that this might have been a word that was significant in terms of like its actual like phonological shape. So Greek speakers might have been hearing people say this word, and they might want to know what it meant. So when Jesus is called the Messiah, or Mashiach, the question would be, what would that mean? And so John is giving them that translation for when they hear it. All right, so that answers Donald's question. Any other questions about anything related to Bible, linguistics, language pedagogy, anything that I could give an intelligible answer on? I might be able to about some other topics, but not many more. Colton, have you read Cook's new book yet? It's supposed to come in the mail soon. I'm getting a free copy actually, so no. But I will look at it very soon. I did hear a talk he gave on it at ETS, and I have problems with it. I mean, I would say that, like, just again, some initial. I mean, so this is what I asked him, Cook. So again, he calls the actual form an imperfective, but he says that it has perfective uses. In fact, 80% of the time, it should be understood as perfective. So then I asked him, like, what do you mean by imperfective? If you define imperfective and perfective as mutually exclusive terms and categories, and you say that the form is imperfective, but the meaning it often gives is perfective, then I have no idea what you actually mean by imperfective. And I still don't. And I didn't really get an answer from him. So that's pending. I will look at the book. I'm interested to see how his thoughts have developed. But yeah, I think there are some problems with it. Seeing Greek and Hebrew asks, as a follow-up to your last episode, guest speaking on prosody and accents, any plans to add a module to Biblingo to teach accents? So there is a lesson in Biblingo, like lesson 41, like 40-ish, 41, where we start to teach the Masoretic accents, but not in any great detail. I will have a section on that in my textbook. But honestly, so this is referring to Sophia's work. I talked to her about her work on the Masoretic accents and their meaning. I think that she is on the right track, but I think so having talked to her several times about this, I think there's still a lot of work to do in terms of figuring out really what's going on with the accents. I was actually, filming something the other day, and the way I said something made it seem like there was something that preceded it, like just my intonation pattern. And that's the kind of thing that we have very strong intuitions about in English. But so the assumption would be that in the Masoretic accents, that kind of thing is probably there. It's probably like there's some reflection of that. But it's very hard to figure out what exactly um, is going on. So I'm not sure. I don't think she is that far along, and I have certainly not spent enough time um, digging into the accents myself to figure out basically how to connect the phonology to um, the like intonational patterns to pragmatic meaning and even semantic meaning. I think that is very much in its infancy, but we will see as soon as that does happen. Maybe I can, we can do a course or something like that on Biblingo. But we will. I am following Sophia's work, and we'll see if she can help solve the problem. Um, so thank you to couple compliments in the chat. Again, if you're just arriving, basically what we've said so far is we are launching a merch store. And so you'll be able to see that very soon. We'll send an email when it is live. There are t-shirts, mugs, journals, a yo-yo, a ball, this various things. We will also have a Christmas sale, 15% off of everything, including merch, subscriptions, everything on the website. That'll be from December 13th through the 27th. And then we'll also be doing the 12 days of Christmas. We'll be giving out a free thing every day for the next 12 days up through Christmas Eve. So that's those are the three big announcements. I've been answering a few questions just on random things related to Greek, Hebrew, linguistics, Bible. Happy to answer any more questions. If you have them, you can put them in the chat. So I'll just give a couple more minutes for people to ask questions if you have them. And if not, I will get back to figuring out what the subjunctive is doing. Colton says, rightfully, I think Cook gives a word of caution in his intro about his drawing from multiple linguistic schools and their presuppositions. I'm curious how Cook will navigate those later in the grammar. Yeah. I think ultimately, I mean, this is, kind of what I told him. It like, I think part of the problem is that, so he draws from, and he explicitly said in his talk, again, so I haven't read the book, but I'm going off of his talk, that, he's pulling from the formal semantics field, and that's where he's getting his definitions from of these things. But in informal semantics, like, it really doesn't matter what you label a thing. What we do is we give a lambda notation. Actually, you can see some of them on my board, wherever, right there. So we give meanings. We give sort of mathematical meanings to grammatical items in order to, like, precisely define what they do. So it doesn't matter whether it's like what you call the thing. It matters the meaning that you assign to it. And so that is ultimately the problem. So, like, if Cook assigns a meaning that it says, reference time extends, or is included within event time, which is his meaning of imperfective, and then he says the form is used for the opposite meaning, then I don't know then what he actually says the meaning of the form is. If I said that, the form, like, is the number, contributes, is equivalent to the number 2, but then there are all these things that are not 2, then I don't know what his claim actually is, or it's just false. And so that's kind of the basic problem. All right, Chris Lucas, the Protestant View Live question. Daniel 27, Daniel 9:27, is it accurate to read the first part of that verse? That is basically saying there's 1 week left in the 70 weeks, and not that the covenant will be for only 7 years. Because when I read it, it sounds like he will confirm or strengthen a covenant sometime within that last 7 years, not that the covenant itself is 7 years long. Good question. I had opinions about this at one point, and I don't remember what they were. So I might not be able to help you. But I will look at it again. Let's see. Let's pull up the Septuagint, and we can leave the ESV up for fun. So there are different versions of the Septuagint in Daniel. And so that's actually an important question. The reason why I had opinions about it at one point is because I took a Septuagint Daniel class at Hebrew University, and we got into this question. As you can see, actually, in the Septuagint, this verse is very, very long, much longer than the Hebrew. So that's part of the tricky thing about Daniel. But I will again look at the text again. So the question is it accurate to read the first part of that verse? That it is basically saying there's 1 week left in the 70 weeks, and not that the covenant will be for only 7 years. So Vehigber Brit Larabim Shavua Achad. So that's 1 week. So let's see the ESV, and he shall make a strong covenant with many for 1 week. So in this case, so I would probably say he will strengthen the covenant for many. So and then this is giving the ESV is giving like the length of time of the week. V'chatzi hashvua yashbit zevach umincha ve'al knaf shikutzim meshosem ve'ad kala ve'necheratza titach al shomem. So the question would be, this length of time. So there's a certain period of time where he strengthens the covenant, and then there is a certain period where zevach umincha, it seems like it's standing in for like the temple cult, when that will stop, and that is half of a week. So according to the this line. So again, I don't even know. For half of the week, he shall put an end to sacrifice and offering. So the first part of that verse that is basically saying there's 1 week left in the 70 weeks, not that the covenant will be for only 7 years. So there's nothing in the text that says 7 years. To answer your question, Chris, you would have to like say that is coming from somewhere else. Obviously, ve'acharei hashavuim shishim u'shnayim yikret Mashiach ve'ein lo. So I have to like look at this whole thing again. So if each week is standing in for years, right? Yes, if that's the question. Then the idea would be that this will be strengthened, the covenant, for 7 years, and for half of that time, zevach umincha, the temple cult will stop. Again, I think it's worth looking at the Septuagint, which is much, much longer, and is, if I remember correctly, giving us different time periods. So I know that doesn't really answer your question, but that is well, hopefully, yeah, you can see even here Kai meta hepta, kai hebdome konta, kai rus, kai se konta duo ete. So, and after 7 and 70 times, and hexe konta 62 years, until the time of the completion of the war. So this is just giving a different time period. So it's worth looking at the Septuagint here because this is giving sort of an explanation of what's going on in the Hebrew. All right. Related question about mixing schools of thought. Would Aubrey's book on prepositions from a cognitive background be beneficial within formal semantic linguistics framework? Yeah. So like, I guess within I think it is good to read outside of your school of thought, but at the same time, I think it's important to recognize that some schools of thought, like linguistically, are better than others for certain things. So, for example, like lexical items, or grammatical items are kind of like the bread and butter, so to speak, of formal semanticists. They just kind of live in that world. The reason is because they're working mostly in a tradition that that is like more math based, and because of that, the mathematical tools kind of lend itself to grammatical morphemes that are very logical. So, again, you can give a definition of tense and aspect with logical formulas. You can't really do that with the word cat, with like a lexical item like cat. So because of that, cognitive linguists have kind of been more concerned with the realm of lexical semantics, and formal semanticists have been more concerned with the realm of grammatical morphemes. So the question is, Aubrey's book, with the cognitive linguistics background, would it be beneficial within formal linguistics framework? So he's dealing with prepositions. One thing about prepositions that has been noted is that they are kind of in the middle between a grammatical morpheme and a lexical morpheme, in many ways. That being said, so what I would say, so certainly it could be beneficial. I know of some work in formal semantics on prepositions, but there's not a ton. There's definitely more in the cognitive linguistics world, but I think both could probably benefit from each other. I mean, the big thing that formal semantics gives you is it gives you a much more precise, in general, much more precise characterization of the meaning of things in general. That's kind of the benefit to formal semantics in general. Okay. All right. I think that is about it. Basically, I know a lot of, so this is Chris Lucas again. I know a lot of people try to say this is about an Antichrist that signs a 7-year covenant, but when I'm looking at the Hebrew, it doesn't look like it tells you how long the covenant's for. Yeah, so the bare accusative could be the length. So again, just put this up here. Like this could be the length of the covenant. And in fact, and he shall make a strong covenant with many for 1 week. That's how, it's taken by the ESV people. I think that does make sense. So in terms of like the actual the function of this phrase right here is probably giving the length of time that the covenant holds. So that would be yes. 4 is added. 4 is added in English, but that doesn't mean that it is incorrectly added. So again, the problem is that you have a temporal phrase. So this same thing happens in Greek, right? Where you can have a temporal phrase in accusative case in Greek, and it gives you the length of time of something. And so this is actually very, very common in a number of languages. English just happens to use the preposition for instead of the accusative, because English, that's just something about English. But it's not necessarily the case that it doesn't really matter how it's represented in English. And this is an important point. What matters is the meaning that's conveyed in each language. So it could be the case that the English for plus temporal phrase is communicated which is specifying the length of time of a thing, is communicated in Hebrew without the preposition for in the accusative case, right? And which is actually true. That's true both in Hebrew and in Greek. So I think if you're asking about the question, the lack of the preposition for, I think that's perfectly normal to omit that in Hebrew, and that's just a difference between Hebrew and English. Okay. All right. I think I will probably sign off. So if you just to say again, our merch store should be live. That was posted in the chat earlier. Biblingo.org/store. So you can go there, start purchasing merch. Some of it we have now, we can ship to you right away. Some of it we don't have right now, and it'll come to you probably by first of the year. But you can go ahead and order it, and we will give you something if you are ordering it for someone to give to them. To say, hey, this is coming for Christmas. Everything's 15% off for the next 2 weeks, both in the merch store and on the website for all subscriptions. And the 12 Days of Christmas giveaway prizes are starting now. So you'll get info about that as well. So thank you for joining us and for being subscribers and supporters. Really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. Eros te.